Hi, Chris here. So going something a bit easier this time. Going with a little probe out to Minmus. So I've got little S1 boosters there, those giant sexy beasts. So I'm going to use a couple of those to push me out into orbit. I see I've added a couple of fins there. So the fins and the stabilization systems are going to be necessary because this is a very long rocket. It's just very tall, it's got very high power, it's gonna fly out of control if you're not careful. Also, you've got no control system in that rubbish little probe core. So you have to add a little SAS module. So we've got solar panels to give us power, we've got science modules on the side, and we've got almost no aerodynamic on that top bit. It's really quite ugly. So let's hope it doesn't all burn off and fall off. So I'm going to minimise my power to begin with. So when I detach my liquid fuel booster, it's not going to start burning immediately. First stage going well. I'm going upwards, which is always good. I've got throttling restriction on the second stage. That's going to mean it burns for longer, and I'm not going to have so much thrust that I can't point it in the right direction before I run out of fuel. So going up, I've got a little flagpole there, you see. It's a nice little thing to have a little marker flagpole on your base, because it lets you see how far away you are. Ooh, it's a bit wobbly. The joints really can't cope with all this weight. You can, of course, use struts across the joints, and that will stop it wobbling like that. Struts automatically detach if you separate them. So if you have a strut across a separator, and you activate the separator, you don't have to worry about the struts, it'll happen automatically. Some people see struts as almost cheating, but really you just can't do it in some rockets. They're an essential part of the game, really. Alright, so we're going up. I'm trying to turn as much as I can. Even with the fins and stuff, it still just wants to travel fairly straight. Right, I'm getting out. As I go up in altitude, I can turn it a bit more. The air gets a bit thinner. I'm just trying to bring it towards the horizon. Down, 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 come on. So the air resistance is going to want to make you fly straight. So it's going to limit how fast you can turn. As you get out into space, obviously the air resistance will disappear, and then you have an entirely different problem that you could just keep spinning. You keep rotated too fast, and you can't stop it very easily. Right, there we go. So we've managed to turn onto the horizon. We've nearly run out of fuel. There we go. So detach our boosters. We've only got this tiny little engine left. This is our entire spaceship. I'm just going to wait until we reach the apoapsis. This is the high point, and it gives us the most fuel efficient bit to go into orbit. There we go. I'll lower it a bit. Just get this height just right. You'd want to get it just above 70,000 meters. It's the most fuel efficient. Okay, so you make sure everything's set up just right before you make your maneuver. Being a bit too fussy here, really. What I'm thinking of doing is you can do a maneuver at 90 degrees and it'll just shift the orbit around. So since I'm too high at the moment, I can effectively almost make a full orbit, then shift the orbit I've got so the periapsis emerges from the planet. So I'm not gaining height, I'm just moving where the center of the orbit is, and that'll let me make an orbit a little bit more efficiently, maybe. I don't think it'll make that much difference. Not here, at least. Alright, I'm nearly at the periapsis now. Sorry, the apoapsis. So just going to time accelerate to reach it. So what I'm doing now is, because I haven't got any SES, because the SES at this level is only coming from your pilots, what you do is you spin up your spaceship like this. You get lots of angular momentum, and it'll keep you pointing It'll keep you pointing in a straight direction when you're under thrust. Doesn't work perfectly. You'll have to make some corrections occasionally, but it works much better than not doing it. If I wasn't doing it, I would have drifted off course already. Alright, so I've got loads and loads of delta V here, so I can get up into space relatively easily. So there we go, we've got orbit. It's going to make a little bit of extra thrust just to get the maximum. You don't want to sit at 70,000 meters precisely, it's just not safe. Right, so I'm going to set target on Minmus. Minmus is on a different plane than Kerbin, so you're definitely going to have to make an ascending node or descending node adjustment to change your plane. So just gonna, there you go. You see the nodes flip over there. Yeah, so you set target on Minmus, it'll then bring up a ascending and descending node on your orbit. You then go to one of these nodes, you make a 90-degree burn, you go for the purple ones. So 90-degree burn in the purple direction until the anode and the ascending and descending nodes flip position, and then that's where you want to be. So. So if I did that, if I didn't bother doing that, then I burned out to Minmus, I'd be at the wrong height and it wouldn't make an intersect. Okay, so let's line up for the burn. So here I'm wobbling quite a bit. You noticed, because I haven't spun up. So it's, I'm having to make lots and lots of course adjustments. Now I'll just spin up a little bit and you see I'm still drifting, and the reason is it's maintaining the drift that I had earlier. But I've managed to do it. It was only a short burn, so it doesn't matter too much. If it was a much longer burn, then I would have lost tons and tons of fuel doing that. Yeah, you see, I'm just checking to make sure I'm in the right place. I'm almost precisely on it. Might be enough to justify a burn. Yep. Yeah, so I messed up a little bit that time. It doesn't really matter too much. It's just going to need a tiny little burn to correct it. Come on. There we go. So I'm going to spin up this time. And now when I accelerate, it's going to stay on course. Right, so let's try to find an intercept with Minmus. Now you want to be going for the opposite side of the orbit and just stretch it out like that. And then you need to judge where the correct place is to get an intersect. You see there's two white markers, there we go. They show where you are and where the target is at the closest point of approach. So you can judge from there which point in the orbit you need to stretch out from in order to make the intercept. I've managed to do it quite quickly there though. If you want to do it first time like I just did, it's basically just going to take experience. You need to know roughly the right place, and you're just going to need to do it so many times that it becomes fairly easy. Right, so let's line up for the burn. I've actually missed the node slightly, but it doesn't matter. Okay, spin her up. Not quite the right direction, am I? It's close enough. I'll make an adjustment in a minute. So this little probe, even though it's got a tiny little engine, because the probe's so light, that little engine's enough to give loads and loads of thrust. Right, I'm just going to make a correction to the course. And spin her up again. So if I had the same engine on a much bigger rocket, it would take forever. And oh, okay, I just intercepted the moon. Hopefully that won't happen again. It's a good way of ruining your courses, intercepting with extra moons and things. Oh, okay, I just hit it. I just overdid it actually. So I'm going to have a tiny little thrust in the opposite direction. Okay, it's bring around. So while en route, I'm going to make a little adjustment at some point. Yeah, you see I haven't even got an insect anymore. Minmus is fairly small, so you might want to do something like this. This is going to give a very fine course adjustment. It does take more fuel, but it's not really a problem here. I'm just trying to find it so it intersects. Oh, there we go. See, it's just very, very slight. And that just, as slight as that intercept was now, it was much, much smaller when I was at the periapsis. I'm just going to warp to the maneuver. This is going to give me my orbital insertion. So this probe is going to be sitting in a nice, beautiful little orbit around Minmus, hopefully. And there we go. Get it lined up. And then make our burn. Spin her up, of course. See, it's absolutely tiny amount of fuel I'm having to burn. Just watching the periapsis of the approach on target. There we go. So that's getting closer. It won't let me warp to it, that's annoying. Here we go. So there's the moon and Kerbal. Where's our target? Are going to be absolutely tiny, isn't it? Yeah, you see it's miles away still. And we're just going to have to sit here and wait for it to arrive. We're going to be travelling very, very slowly. Oh, there it is. So it's a long way away and it's absolutely tiny. But we will be moving far slower than it, so it will catch up. It's speeding towards us. We're just going to catch the edge of it. So there we go. As we get close enough, it's going to begin to affect us with its gravity. And because we're going to travel so slowly, it's going to have quite an impact on our course. So now we're high over Minmus, we could do some science. And this is of course why we're here. So we could use one of these goo canisters, and we can also use the thermometer, of course. And while it's in orbit, and of course it'll stay in orbit, we can keep using that thermometer. So if you're ever offered any get science from space around Minmus quests, then we'll be able to do them dead easy. Just flip to the spaceship and cash it in. Now when we're using our communitron, you notice it's draining our batteries completely. It's not a problem, but using time accelerator speeds it up. Obviously if we had far more solar panels it wouldn't be a problem, but I think you just have to accept it's going to drain your batteries. One warning, you need power for your probe core. So if you run out of power completely, you've got no control. So while you're sending communications, you have no control of your ship. You also have, it disables your SAS. It disables lots of things. This is a problem especially if you're on the dark side of planets and things, because then you haven't got any solar power. So really don't want to send any transmissions while you're on the dark side of planets. There's Minmus in its glorious low resolution. So spinning up for this maneuver again. We get nearly there. Just check. Right, so we're just going to bring it right down. Choosing the finest possible motor movement. Right, there we go. We've got a nice circular orbit.